Hello, my beautiful buds. Welcome back to my channel, Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. Every single month, I love to make a video just featuring my favorite plants of that month, the plants that have been standing out to me that are just mwah, chef's kiss, so beautiful. And I don't know, admittedly, I've actually been incredibly busy this month, so I've had a much harder time I've kept up with plant care, especially, it helps that I made 2 plant chore videos this month. So I was able to do a lot because of that. But outside of those videos, oh my gosh. You notice, I don't think I've been posting quite as often or consistently as I normally do on this channel. And yeah, the month of May has been insane for me. And I kind of see the rest of the summer potentially being this way. So bear with me. That being said, I still obviously enjoy my plants. They're a breath of fresh air, and yeah, I'm excited to share my favorites with you. Okay, the first one is actually a little bit of a mixed bag. So this is my variegated Monstera adansonii, which first of all, I never thought that I was gonna own this plant, but I happened upon it in a really great turn of events. So you can check out that video. But basically I had the privilege of touring a greenhouse and I was able to buy a lot of plants at cost. So I got a really good deal on this plant. Now, I say it's a mixed bag because I guess let's start with the positives. I've been keeping this in my greenhouse cabinet and it's obviously on a moss pole. This plant has adored the moss pole and its leaves have been sizing up as you would hope and expect that they would. So this is how the leaves began, and of course it has also lost a couple of the old leaves, but now, the leaves that it's coming out with now are just massive. This is the most recent one, although it is a little bit bleached because it's starting to get close to the grow light, so I'm stressed about that. This was the one just before that, also a very respectable size. This one was also a really massive leaf. So in general, it is increasing in size, and obviously, it's variegated. It's a Monstera adansonii. I love this plant. The way that it looks is just amazing. Even this most recent leaf in particular. Do you see how it's a patch of white, but it also has a little bit of that in-between creaminess, and it's a little bit more challenging to see here. But I just think it's so stunning. However, obviously you can kind of see the other glaring issues as I'm dealing with a lot of browning. I don't know. I feel like this plant generally has a tendency to go a little bit brown. I think I've seen other people experience that. And I've mentioned before on my channel that I wanted to try, what is it, silicone or something in the soil. I've heard some people say that that helps prevent browning. The funny part is sometimes a leaf will come out totally flawless, like this one, and over time it will brown like this. So this leaf actually came out totally flawless, and now it has a little bit of brown going on, which is unfortunate, but I've come to kind of expect it with this plant. But other times the leaf, the white on the leaf just completely melts as it's unfurling. It's like it doesn't completely unfurl. So this leaf, for instance, that happened with it, where the white part just pretty much melted. It didn't even have a chance. That happened partially with this leaf down here as well. So I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it. And then, yeah, this leaf right here, some of these bottom leaves, you would have expected those to maybe get browning before, say, a leaf that's later on, like these leaves. But they haven't. They still look really nice. So I don't really know. I don't really have any answers. I just have a lot of questions. And obviously it is growing quite well. I'm gonna need to add a pole extension pretty soon here, although I might need to move it out of the cabinet if maybe I can move some things around. But if I add an extension, it's gonna be a little bit trickier to fit into the cabinet. This is a new leaf right here that, it doesn't look super large, and that's probably because it's kind of off the pole a little bit here. We'll see what it turns into. So far, it has very consistently been a half moon-esque shape, and that's another thing that concerns me just a little bit because I don't want it to revert on me, and when leaves are half moons, that is a little bit more likely. So yeah, I do love this plant a lot. It makes me very happy every time I see it, but I have a couple of anxieties and hang-ups concerning it that, I'm keeping a close eye on it. And I'll keep you updated if I end up finding any solutions, but do let me know if you have struggled with some of the same things with this plant, or if you have solutions. I would love to hear solutions. The next plant on my favorites list Oh, I just am beside myself. This is my Alocasia cuprea. And if you've spent any time on my channel, you know how much pain this plant has given me. But do you see this new leaf that's like just unfurling? It's so fresh. It's like a newborn babe. It's so tender. I don't want to bother it too much, but like, look at that color. Oh, and the size is good too. It's going to be bigger than this one. And hey, check out this root system that's going crazy. Okay. So for some background, this plant has been a huge headache for me from the beginning, pretty much since I got it over a year ago. I'll spare you all of the details, but I've gone back and forth with having to reroot this plant nearly dying on me, but like not quite. And yeah, I've had root rot with it like multiple times, and I've just never been able to really nail its care. But I have realized, as I've gotten a few more Alocasia on my hands, that I think that they really like no drainage or self-watering pots. They seem to really enjoy that consistent moisture, as well as, you know, bright light, maybe even like high-ish humidity depending on the Alocasia. And this one, maybe 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago or something like that. Actually, may have been 3 weeks ago at this point. It was the beginning of May. I repotted it in a plant tours video, and I put it, and already, literally within a couple of weeks of potting it into the self-watering pot and putting it in my greenhouse cabinet. Oh my gosh. Again, I'm gonna show you these roots. Again, all of these roots, new growth. It's just, I mean, the roots are a little bit fine over here, so it's a little bit hard to tell, but she's so happy. And obviously this brand new leaf that has just popped up out of nowhere after this plant not giving me a new leaf in months upon months, I'm just so happy because I just feel a lot of hope. I'm really thinking that this might be it. I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up too much, obviously, but she might be entering her happy era, and that just warms my heart so much. So I hope that this like self-watering / no drainage method for Alocasia continues to work well. If I had pon, I would have tried it on this plant, but I didn't want to go out and get a whole new amendment and have to figure that out. But pon essentially is kind of a similar idea to no drainage anyways, or self-watering pots. Like, it's just, those are all kind of similar in my mind with the way that it works. So yeah, I am very pleased about this, and I will keep you guys updated. Next up is my little terrarium with my little begonia aerial, and I realized that I forgot to talk about this in my spring updates video that came out last month, and I was kicking myself because, my goodness, updates are in order. This begonia has completely taken off in this little jar here. Hang on. Look at, this is actually comical. Look at these roots growing up the side of the glass. Is that not so cool looking? I just love that. And also like in the front here too, it's rooting up like crazy in here, and also it is totally outgrowing this terrarium. So I'm gonna need to go in there and give it a little trim. But yeah, this plant has absolutely loved it in here. It's growing constantly and it looks beautiful. I sort of like missed out on talking about it during its peak beauty, because at this point it's almost a little bit too overgrown that it looks more crazy than beautiful. But there was like a nice sweet spot in there, like a month-long period where it just looked immaculate. It looked just the right size for this jar. It wasn't too small, wasn't too big. It was just perfect. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take some cuttings and figure out what I want to do with said cuttings, maybe set them aside, and then yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna have to keep this one pretty small, but it's so happy in here and it's just adorable. And if you have never tried out any sort of terrarium, it's a really fun project to do. You can find all sorts of little terrarium plants that thrive, and you can do like a tiny jar, or you can do something bigger like this, or even bigger. I mean, people have entire biospheres that are hi sir. People have entire biospheres and massive glass aquariums that are terrariums just filled with plants. So I don't know how much all of that is in my future, but this was a fun little project because I wanted to have this plant, but it needed more humidity than what it was even getting in the greenhouse cabinet. And this is pretty much virtually 100% humidity. It is fully sealed. If I ever decide to get any other begonias or any other super high humidity living plants, I'm definitely gonna do something probably like this, because this is a great way to keep those plants. And that way they transition from being the most challenging plants in your collection to probably the easiest, because this is so low maintenance. I mean, I need to trim it, but like I've maybe watered it once, like added a little bit of water one time. And other than that, it just sits slightly offset from a south facing window and looks really pretty. Next up is my variegated string of hearts. Oh my goodness. I repotted this plant in one of my more recent plant chores videos. So it was not that long ago. It desperately needed a repot. It was so root bound, and I could tell, I mean, the hearts that it was growing at the bottom were getting so tiny, and I had to water it so frequently, even though it was in my greenhouse cabinet. But I had been procrastinating that because I actually made a pretty big deal in that video about how I was gonna have to take it out of the greenhouse cabinet because, you know, putting it in a new pot size, a pot size up, like it wouldn't fit anymore where I had it, and since it's trailing, it was like a whole thing, okay? I actually managed to fit it in my greenhouse cabinet, but this is definitely the biggest size that it can go. So once she needs to be repotted from this pot, we're gonna have to find a different solution. But okay, once I repotted this plant, you guys, she exploded with growth. Oh my goodness, like she is still in the greenhouse cabinet and loving it as always, but in particular, I mean, okay, I don't know if you can see all the new growth and new vines that have been offshoots right here. You know, I don't know if you can tell how it's fresh growth, but look at the size of these new hearts. This is new growth right here. And like this is new growth. Do you see this? This is the biggest growth I have ever gotten from this plant. These hearts are huge and beautiful. Obviously they're variegated, so it's like a huge bonus there, but oh my goodness, it's getting so nice and full because it's not just growing. I mean, it is growing on the bottom a little bit, but it's not just growing on the bottom there. It's growing offshoots of these massive, gorgeous hearts. Please tell me it's coming across on camera, because my jaw hit the floor when I noticed that this was happening, and I was so excited. And it's even growing in from the top too. This plant is just really taking off. It has to be that I repotted it, and it could also be that it's in a plastic pot instead of terracotta. It's not drying out as quickly. It has more space, and it's really just thriving. It's thriving so much. Obviously, it is a little bit of a tangled mess. That's just par for the course with string of hearts. I've accepted that as my fate. But I love how it's growing right now, and I'm so happy with it. I hope that it continues to do this for me. This is definitely like my most successful string of hearts that I've had. And I'm just so over the moon about it because it's also my favorite variety of string of hearts. I mean, it's variegated and it's so cute. I love how it's pink and like kind of teal, and also the green and the white. It's just, mwah, it's such a good plant. And it has always done fairly well for me, especially since I have it in the greenhouse cabinet. But yeah, this by far is the most it has ever grown at once. And it's having these massive, gorgeous leaves. I'm so obsessed with this. All right, and last but not least is my Hoya chicken farm. And listen, I know I've talked about this plant quite a bit. I feel like I talked about it a lot during my spring updates video, and I featured it in a favorites video within the last 3 months or so. So I know I've talked about it, but I need to talk about it some more because I couldn't not talk about it. It's blooming for me, and it's so cute. Ah! You guys, I am so excited about this. I have not had a whole lot of Hoyas bloom for me, so I am over the moon. I'm gonna give you a second to just look at it. It's like a full set of flowers here. Oh my goodness. Look at how cute. I should have used my other lens to film today so I could really zoom in for you. Oh my gosh, I am obsessed. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, but yeah, so for background, I've only had 3 Hoyas, I think, bloom for me. So this is the 3rd one. So it's like a big deal. My Hoya latifolia alba marginata, I think, was the first one that bloomed for me, but it was only a partial bloom. Like the rest of it blasted. So it was really not that impressive, but I was excited nonetheless. And then the second one that bloomed for me is my Hoya lacunosa super silver. That one is constantly blooming. It has like 20 blooms on it right now. So it's not like super groundbreaking or anything. And then this one came out of nowhere. And I've had other peduncles that just blasted. Like my Hoya elliptica has given me like 4 or 5 peduncles that I thought were gonna happen and they just didn't. Okay, this one took me so off guard. I was not expecting it at all. And here it is. And not only did it gift me this, it also gifted me these 2 massive and flawless leaves. Like this Hoya in particular has generally been a pretty good grower for me, although this earlier growth is looking pretty bleached, and I think it's because it was in such highlight. I put it in a south-facing window. That's my guess, is that it was getting much too highlight. So now it's still in the south-facing window, but I have it set behind a sheer curtain, so the light that it's getting is more indirect and filtered. And when I did that, that's when it gave me these leaves. They are dark and they are huge. They're way bigger than the other leaves that I have from this plant. So I'm like, okay, I get the message. You want to be in more like filtered bright light rather than direct bright light. And it's gorgeous. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is definitely probably one of my favorite Hoyas right now. It's like really up there. She's on my very, very good side. So yeah. Oh, I'm in love. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. All those things are super, super helpful for my channel. And let me know down in the comments below what your favorite houseplants are for the month of May. Things are growing and this is really a great time to be a plant parent. I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye!